Still don't.
Pardon? Okay. Gotcha. I don't know. Well, yeah, there's going to be a public hearing. I mean, we can't stop that. Yeah, we can't stop. Well, we'll begin. What time is it? 1:30 exactly. There's Russ. Okay, it's I think it's 1:31 or so. We'll begin the Plan Committee meeting of Akron City Council. We have 3 items that are up for public hearing this afternoon. The process for the public hearings are that we will ask those who are in attendance that wishes to speak to the committee this afternoon to be sworn in by a representative from our law department. If there's someone here, at this point, anyone who's wishing to speak before the committee, please stand and be sworn in by a representative of our law department.
The testimony you give today will be entirely the truth. Please signify by saying I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. So the process is that we will conduct these 3 public hearings. We'll ask those who are in attendance who wishes to speak in favor of the conditional use request to speak, and then we'll ask those who wish to speak against the conditional use request. We will not make a recommendation this afternoon. We will open it up to questions, though, from committee and from council. This evening at 7 o'clock, we will have an additional public hearing, and you're certainly welcome and I encourage you to be here for that meeting at 7 o'clock, in which you will be asked again to speak in favor or against these conditional use requests, and you'll also be sworn in yet again this evening. So that's the procedures. And with that, we'll go ahead and begin. I'd also like to request that we receive a motion that we accept the minutes of the previously held meeting. Is there a motion? Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Very good. Okay, the first item that's up for public hearing is the ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a barber shop at 402 Sumner Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Vander Jones III is requesting permission to establish a barber shop called College Cuts at this location. The barber shop would occupy 1 apartment unit in a 4-unit, 2-story building. Total of 2 barber chairs along with a hair sink would be located in the building. Besides the petitioner, there would be an additional barber when needed. Hours of operation will be between 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. The property contains 5 off-street parking spaces behind the dwelling, and there is on-street parking along Sumner Street. This University Park neighborhood is highly populated with many residents attending the University of Akron. A small barber shop at this location would complement the retail businesses along East Exchange. Due to the density of the neighborhood, it's anticipated that a vast majority of the patrons will walk to the barber shop. This mixed-use proposal is an appropriate use of land and should enhance this neighborhood. Both Planning Commission and planning staff recommend approval subject to conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci. At this time, we'll open it up to the public for the public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use request at 402 Sumner Street? Anyone here wishing to speak in favor? Anyone? Okay. Not hearing anyone in favor. Is there anyone against the proposal at 402 Sumner Street? Anyone here to speak against the proposal at 402? Anyone against? Hearing none. We'll open up to the committee members if there's any questions or comments. Mr. Swirsky.
This is in my ward. I went and met with the young businessman who's planning this project, and I scoped out the location, and I couldn't believe how good it was. In terms of chances of success, the amount of walk-up traffic is incredible, and I'm really glad that someone's taking advantage of it. And as some of you know, sometimes I have concerns about parking or traffic flow, but in this situation, I don't see that. I can just see you'd have to see like hundreds of college students walking by his site, and it just won't be difficult to get them inside. And I think he'll be very successful.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Mobian?
Do we have any idea how many barbershops we have in the city of Akron?
I don't.
And the reason I'm asking is that would be a clear example of telling us how needed the Barber College on Romick Road is needed. If someone could generate that, I mean, it's not urgent, but it would just be nice to have that info. Thank you.
Take a look. Further questions or comments? Okay, very good. Hearing none. We'll now move on to item 2, ordinance authorizing conditional use to establish a crematorium at 201 Opportunity Parkway. Mr. Antonucci.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, Hummel Funeral Homes and Crematories is requesting permission to establish a crematorium within this existing structure. Proposed cremation equipment would be located in the north portion of the 12,825 square foot building. The units will be utilized for pets and humans. No exterior changes to the building are required, and the only visible pieces of equipment will be 4 roof stacks that will extend 3 feet above the existing roof height. The cremator emits no smoke, soot, ash, or odor. Hummel Funeral Homes and Crematories have been serving the Akron area for 120 years. The petitioner states that moving their crematory equipment and staff from their Copley location is necessary to accommodate the growing number of families choosing cremation. The proposed crematory is in a commercial and industrial area and should have virtually no effect on surrounding properties. Both Planning Commission and planning staff recommend approval subject to conditions.
Thank you for that report, Mr. Antonucci. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this conditional use request at 201 Opportunity Parkway? If you please provide for the committee your name and address.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. My name is Brian Meek. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Brennan, Manna, and Diamond. I'm here to represent Hummel Funeral Homes and also their agent, Paul Hummel. The property at issue at 201 Opportunity Parkway is a 1.73 acre parcel zoned at R89. Right now, Hummel has an option to purchase and lease the subject parcel. He's just requesting permission to establish, as was pointed out, the crematorium within an existing building that will have no exterior changes except with the addition of the 4 roof stacks, and also a change to the sign that's in the front of the building to install a Hummel sign. And as was pointed out, it's necessary to accommodate the number of families in Akron who are choosing not only cremation for humans but also for pets. So at this time, Hummel Funeral Homes requests that this proposed conditional use be granted.
Thank you. Anyone else here wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use request on Opportunity Parkway for the crematory? Anyone else here wishing to speak in favor? Okay, very good. Is there anyone here wishing to speak against the conditional use request at 201 Opportunity Parkway? Anyone here wishing to speak against? Anyone against? Okay, very good. Hearing none, open up for questions. Is there any questions from any of the committee members or council members? Ms. Mobian?
Just a question out of curiosity. Are these normally separated from the funeral home, or are they usually adjacent?
Hi, my name is Paul Hummel. I'm the owner of Hummel Funeral Homes. And to answer the question, every funeral home has it, they do it differently. Sometimes they're attached to the funeral home. Currently ours is attached. We're looking to expand and to grow, and this gives us the opportunity to do that. So we have chosen to remove our crematories from our existing funeral home and putting it into another building to allow to accommodate the growing need in cremation.
Now, do you normally do humans and animals in the same crematory?
So we have been operating a crematory in Copley now for 11 and a half years, and the way the crematory is designed is there are 2 pet crematories and one human crematory.
Okay.
What we're going to be doing in this new facility is placing the human in its own little area, so it's separate from the pet. So the building is large enough that we can place them apart from one another, but all animals are done in animal crematories, and the humans are done in a human crematory. There's definitely a separation of those machines and people and pets.
And I think I have one more question. What do you do with your cremates? I think that's what they're called, wouldn't you? The results of...
What do we do with the cremains? Yes, so the cremains of the humans are all given back to the families, or brought to our funeral home for burial or a service, things of that nature. The animal cremains are given to the families. Animal families, they rush in to pick up their pets because they want those cremains back right away. So
If you don't have an owner or a family to give them to, what do you do with them?
So what we can do is we have, there's a 60-day rite of burial. So after 60 days, we can bury the ashes. We don't, typically someone will step forward, and if not, we keep them for a fairly extended period of time, and then we will place them into a mausoleum or crypt wall, or bury them in a vault. If somebody comes back at a later date and would like them back, they can pay to have the crypt wall or the vault opened to access the ashes that have been buried.
And you have the name of the...
Everything, the names are on every urn that we place in a crypt wall or vault in the ground, as well as a cremation tag. The cremation tag tells us when the cremation took place and who did the cremation.
Okay.
So
What's the longest period of time that you've had a cremate on your shelf or wherever you keep it?
On a shelf, that's accurate. Those are, I'd say, 15, sometimes 20 years. Now, it's becoming less and fewer years because more and more people are choosing cremation, so the shelf fills up quicker, if that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Swirsky?
I think, Mr. Antonucci, I heard you say that there are no emissions.
That's correct.
Okay, good
That
work.
is correct, yes.
Okay, further questions or comments? Yes, Ms. Sims?
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci. I guess this would be to you, Mr. Sagan. That area used to be an economic empowerment zone, wasn't it?
I believe
Was that what-
portions of that area were, yes.
So if it's still active, what kind of incentives are there for businesses?
That I'm really not familiar with. That might be something economic development would be able to answer.
Okay.
Thank you. Further questions or comments from anyone? Very good. Of course, we'd invite you back this evening at 7 o'clock for the public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move on to item 3, which is a conditional use to construct a commercial building and parking lot on the east side of Talbot, south of McKinley. Mr. Antonucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Raj Basran is the owner of an auto body truck repair shop at 582 South Arlington. He's seeking purchase to purchase 4 vacant city-owned parcels totaling 18,000 square feet at the southeast corner of the intersection of Talbot and McKinley Avenues. He's also requesting permission to construct a commercial building and fenced parking lot on these properties, together with the vacant lot immediately to the south that he already owns. The vacant lots were acquired by the city through the land reutilization program, whereby tax delinquent properties are transferred to the city for the cost of recording deeds. The lots will be sold to the petitioner for 5 cents a square foot. The proposed commercial garage building would be situated 12 on the south property line and 25 feet from Talbot Avenue, and right up to the alley that separates the site from the petitioner's current business. The gabled roof would rise to a peak height of 27 feet. 14 by 14 foot overhead doors and a standard man door would be located on the north side of the building. Exterior construction materials would be consist of a 6 foot height base of split face block with vinyl siding above and an asphalt shingled roof. The remaining L-shaped area to the north would provide asphalt paved parking for 10 vehicles. Access to the lot would be through a new 30-foot curb cut and drive off McKinley Avenue, as well as from the existing business to the east across the alley. The parking lot would be screened with a 6 foot in height solid fence with 5 feet landscape buffer between the fence and sidewalk. The auto body shop, I'd say that's going to be a 25-foot landscape buffer. The auto body shop has been at this location since 1974, has been an asset to the neighborhood. The proposed building represents a significant investment in the neighborhood and would allow the petitioner to remain at this location and grow his business. One objective of the Land Use and Development Guide Plan is to actively promote Akron's vacant land for use by the city's existing industries. Furthermore, the proposed sale of the city land for the expansion of a successful auto body and truck repair shop helps achieve the goals of the land reutilization program. Both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval subject to conditions.
Thank you for that report, Mr. Antonucci. At this point, we'll open it up for public hearing. If there's anyone here wishing to speak in favor of the commercial building and parking lot on east side of Talbot Avenue and south of McKinley, please feel free to come to the mic. If you can please provide for us your address and name.
I'm Raj Bazran, owner of All Around Body Shop, 582 South Arlington Street, Akron. I have a board here with the rendering of the way it would look. I could bring it up to the easel.
Yes, please, absolutely. Feel free to come forward.
Yeah. Do you need me to go?
Yeah, you can.
So the purpose of this addition that we're bringing and the development of the parking lot behind us is that we're currently landlocked on Arlington Street. We have no place to grow. Currently, we are parking our trucks. Our business is truck repair. We changed from doing residential car body shop to truck repair about 6 years ago. Back then, we had 1 employee, so now we're up to 13, and thankfully we found this niche market. We may not be here otherwise. So right now we've been parking these trucks across the street, renting some property from Livingstone, the Apostolic Church. They've been kind enough to let us park there, but my customers do require that we have a secured parking lot for their assets. So currently we don't have that, so we've been kind of under the radar. This would offer the immediate solution to that problem. And in doing so, we realize this is a residential area, so we've worked really closely with planning on trying to build something that still has a residential feel, that won't be institutional or industrial look, that could fit the neighbors, because that's something that definitely I'm concerned with. I'm from the area. I was born and raised on Arlington Street. So I guess with that, I'd like to open it up to you folks if you have any questions.
Very good, thank you. We'll finish the public hearing and then we'll have an opportunity for that portion.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone here else wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use request?
Yeah, I would. My name is Kyle Julian. I'm with East Akron Neighborhood Development Corporation, and we're at 550 South Arlington Street.
If I could, real quick, just for procedural purposes, I think you need to be sworn in. Were
Oh,
you
yes,
sworn
I'm
in?
sorry, I did come in
No,
late.
no, it's no problem at all.
Sorry.
Just take a 10 seconds.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be entirely the truth? Please signify by saying I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I apologize for that. East Akron Neighborhood Development Corporation, located directly across the block, across McKinley Avenue from the location. We've been involved, obviously, the agency has been working in East Akron for 35 years, and working hard to shore up the housing market in that neighborhood and attract infill. And we know that a stronger housing market in East Akron requires us to not only focus on the residential areas, but also to make sure that Arlington Street is functional and healthy. And a functional and healthy Arlington Street requires that we have businesses like Raj's. We understand that this requires a conditional use because it cuts across the boundaries separating commercial and residential areas, but we feel that Raj, working with his designer, his architect, has worked hard to mitigate the concerns and mitigate the impacts on the residential area, and we feel that this will be an asset to East Akron and help it to continue to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use request? Anyone else here wishing to speak in favor? Okay. Anyone here wishing to speak against this conditional use request at on the corner of the east side of Talbot and south of McKinley? Anyone else wishing to speak against? Okay, very good. Hearing none, we'll now close the public hearing. As any committee members have any questions? I noticed that the ward council person did have her hand up. More than welcome to stand up and speak if you'd like to, Ms. Samples.
Thank you. I just wanted to rise in support of this conditional use. Raj and his family have been in the East Akron community forever, since I was a little child, and they have been good stewards with keeping that business looking aesthetically pleasing. They give jobs to Akron Public School graduates, and I think that's to be commended. If you could add my name, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, please note. Thank you. Mr. Swirsky, I see your hand is up.
Just to add an affirmative, the East Akron Community House endorsing this means a lot because of their track record of 35 years community devotion, as well as the expertise that Mr. Julian has in planning and in civic participation, and so I would support this as well.
Okay, very good. Further questions or comments? Anyone? Did Mr. Antonucci just did receive a concern from a neighbor there, email request? I don't think they could make the meeting, from 594 Talbot Avenue. In terms of, I believe the question was, with regards to noise and such. Now, on this particular parcel here, there will not be any work being done on this parcel, is that correct? This is just for storage?
Ultimately, in the building, there would be work being done. It wouldn't just be for indoor storage. We would like to, the type of work that we do, that would be, we would earmark for that part of the business, would be box repairs. If you think of a U-Haul truck, the actual box of the truck, the moving trucks, they're constructed with just like aluminum and fiberglass, that sort of thing, and that's the type of repair that we're growing in the most. And we see a need for both a place where we can continue doing some work and also storing a lot of the very, very long extrusion parts that we use on those trucks. So this would help us with both, along with other stuff like a break room, a proper break room, and a locker room for our employees that we don't have right now.
But everything will be contained within the building and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No work would ever be done outside.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure that we brought that to the front. Ms. Movian?
I just want to indicate that the morning that this was discussed in the Planning Commission meeting, I was present, and I heard those two individuals from the community speak against this. However, the councilwoman was also here, and she spoke strongly in favor of it, with those individuals being present, and strongly indicated that this will provide jobs. And with them being in the community for a number of years and keeping their property up, she felt that it was more important that the jobs be created and that they adhere to the conditions, and she felt pretty comfortable that it would not be a problem for the community to accept. So with that, I certainly support it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would also add that after hearing those complaints at the Planning Commission, the Ward Councilwoman and staff and Mr. Bazran sat down, and there were some modifications to that plan that were made.
Good.
To add more landscaping, a 25-foot buffer instead of the 5 originally. Fence was pushed back, the building was shortened up a bit, so there were some accommodations that were made.
Good,
right.
very good. As I mentioned, just received an email and just making sure that gets part of the record. That's all. Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Very good. Hearing none, we'll now move on. Thank you, and again, you're welcome to stop by this evening at 7 o'clock for the next public hearing. Thank you. I'm going to recommend time on the agenda and move on to the new list of legislation. The first item, which is item number 1, is authorizing the Director of the Department of Planning and Urban Development to enter into an agreements with the Urban Neighborhood Development Corporation to provide for the construction and sale of moderate-cost single-family homes on a nonprofit basis within the community development activity area.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, committee members. In 2017, the Planning Department will receive approximately $5.5 community development dollars from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. We are recommending for the city to enter into a contract agreement with Urban Neighborhood Development Corporation to construct 2 new single-family homes within the city of Akron. The city has partnered with UNDC since 1979, and they've continued to build over 400 houses in that time period, and we'd like to continue that partnership. With that, we ask for your approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a rush on this particular item, or is consent agenda
Consent's
okay?
fine. Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. How much exactly did you mention in terms of? Gotcha. It's attached. Very good. Thank you. Is there any further questions or comments from any committee members? Ms. Mobian?
So we're talking approximately $50,000 each? What size of house is this?
I would say 1,200 square feet, 3 bathrooms, 1.5 baths, 1 car attached garage. We are also asking that we remove the renovation of the
Okay. Now, is this a program where people will start out renting or leasing or whatever with the option to purchase?
This is not. This is a purchase, straight-out purchase from interested home buyers.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Further questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a recommendation for consent agenda? Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. Thank you. 2 is authorizing the city to donate an easement interest in city property at Children's Hospital Medical Center. Okay, we'll refer this particular item.
We may have
Do
someone
we
to speak to this.
have someone here on this?
We may have someone to speak to this. I'm sorry. Okay, I guess not.
Okay. Refer? Okay, very good. Is there a motion to refer this item? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. We're adjourned. Thank you.
What's up, sir? Just another day in paradise? Hey, Dad, just take time on the old agenda.
All right, we're going to go ahead and call a public service meeting to order, please. We do have one new piece in front of us. All members are present. Well, let me see. Mrs. Sims is here. Mrs. Samples. And Jeff Fusco was just in chambers, and we're missing Hoke, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward. Thanks, Bob. So we're going to call a public service meeting to order. Can I get approval of the previous held meeting, please? All in favor? Aye. We're going to take time on the old agenda. We do have some items there. So our new piece is Ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service to enter into a corporation agreement with AT&T and declare an emergency. We have Mr. John Moore here, Chris Sletto, and Christine Jonke.
Yes, our Tiger project, we're going to be making improvements to Main Street, and as part of those improvements, AT&T would like to have their equipment installed at the time that we're doing that work. So this agreement will allow us to do the work for them with our contractor, and they would reimburse us 100% of the cost of whatever it is we install for them.
Okay, gotcha. Anything else to add? Good?
Actually, no, John, you summed it up perfectly.
All right, thanks.
You did.
Good job, then. We'll take some questions here, if we have any questions. Any questions, committee members? Mrs. Sims?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the contract, they were supposed to submit to you all, I guess, some renderings or estimated cost. Did we get that?
We do not have that information at this time. I know when we did it with Ohio Edison, we included a contract in the legislation, but in this one, we're still in the process of nailing down the details. They're guessing at $1.5 million, but they don't, until we get the actual schedule of work and the amount of work, we won't know the price, but the contract will call for them to reimburse us 100% of our costs.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Sims. Any other questions? Okay. What
Consent
are we
would
looking
be-
at? Consent agenda?
Would be good.
Can I get a motion for consent, please? All in favor? Anybody opposed? No. All right, thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. With that, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sir. Oh, I will. Why, everybody worried about attendance now? Is everybody worried about attendance now?